Right. Hello, guys. Very nice to meet everyone here. This is Liu from Carve, and happy to have the chance to talk about the user acquisition challenge in the gaming industry, and also how Web3 can bring some solutions. So first, a brief introduction of myself. I'm Liu, CGO of Carve, and what we are building in Carve right now is a modular data layer for gaming and for AI, and also to empower the users with their self-data sovereignty, and also to allow the users can own, control, and monetize their data. And upon Carve Protocol, we have built several applications. One of them is called Carve Play, which is the gaming profiling, social, and distribution platform, and has like 2 million Reddit users and 1 million monthly active users right now. And also, we have a Carve AI agent, which is under the alpha test stage. And before joining Carve, I have been working for like 8 years in the top gaming companies like Electronic Arts, Garena, Tencent Games, as the publisher, producer, and ops manager. And have many experience of publish the game in the global markets, especially the emerging markets like Southeast Asia, LATAM, and MENA. And the game titles like FIFA Mobile, Apex Legends Mobile, Arena of Valor, and also other PvP games with the large DAU. So as I come from like Web2 gaming industry backgrounds, I understand like what kind of challenge the gaming industry is facing right now and how Web3 can bring some solutions. So first, what is the problem we are facing in the gaming industry right now? Actually, if we see the global revenue, you can see there is a downward trend in the global mobile and live service gaming market in the past 2 years. For the gaming industry, we had a good time from 2019 to 2021. And most of the revenue growth is from the mobile and live service gaming. Because during that time, there is a large population transfer from the non-gamers into the mobile gamers in the emerging markets. And also, the hardcore mobile games finally getting accepted by the global markets. Like the large DAU PvP games, PUBG, Free Fire, Mobile Legends, and also the high ARPU genres like SLG and RPG. And also the epidemic has strengthened this trend. But things suddenly went down from 2022. We see there is a downward trend. And most of the decrease is from the mobile gaming markets. Like if we compare the revenue in 2023 to 2021, there is a 5% decrease. And most of the decrease is on mobile market, which kept decreasing for 2 years, as well as the Asian Pacific gaming market, where most of the revenue is generated from the mobile games and also from the live service gaming. And also the revenue in 2023 is far worse than the expectations. Like from the forecast from Newzoo or from Data AI, the revenue in 2023 should be somewhere around like 200 billion, but the actual number is only around 180 billion. And that, as a result, we can see like many top gaming companies cutting down the project under development, and also a lot of the layoffs. So what is the reason behind this downward trend? Among all the reasons, one of the main challenges here is the user acquisition change. As we all know, like what can decide a gaming project live or die is the profit, right? And the profit is revenue after the channel cost and after the operation cost, which is quite stable for the past several years. But the problem is the revenue decrease due to the rising of the user acquisition cost. That for some genres, the user acquisition cost is doubled or even tripled in the traditional UA channels. And this is not the only problem. Also, the user targeting is not as accurate as before, which brings down the user's LTV. So as a result, if the gaming project want to keep the profit, they have to cut down the operation cost, which leads to the layoff and also the shutting down of the projects. So what is the reason behind the user acquisition challenge? Mainly, there are 3 different reasons. The first is the rising competition in the popular genres. We can take the SLG game as an example. Like the list here shows the top 10 SLG game in terms of revenue in 2023. And we could see like all of the games are the games that published before 2020. And in each of the subcategories here, there is already at least one dominating game there, which leave little space for the new games and very tense competitions to gather users, which rise the user acquisition cost. The second reason is about the users' growth challenge. That in the mature market like Asia, North America, and Europe, like the users' growth nearly stopped for the mobile and live service gaming, and for the emerging market like Southeast Asia, LATAM, and North Africa, and the users' growth rate decreased dramatically. And the last reason, which is the most important one, is the tighter regulations. That after the GDPR and CCPA, those regulations has released, the top gaming distribution channels has released the policies to protect the users' data privacy and also the personal data security. For example, Apple has removed the IDFA from 2021, and also Google is going to remove the cookies from this year. And as a result, for the ICE network and also for the publishers, it's hard to collect the user's personal data, and it makes it hard to target as the specific demographic of the users. The user's targeting is not as accurate as before. And the two kinds of games are highly influenced by these policies. And these two kind of games has contributed like more than half of the global revenue. The first is the IAA game, which rely on the in-game advertisement as the main monetization model. So you could see like for Unity, which support a lot of the IAA games, they lost around 100 million in revenue and also around 5 billion in the market cap in 2022 alone. And another kind of game is the game genre that rely on the precise targeting of the games, of the users. For example, the game genres with the high ARPU and also the high UA cost, which is like SLG game and also the RPG games. So this is the influence of the tighter regulation. So now we have know the problems and how can Web3 help to provide some solutions to these problems. So there are two solutions here. The first is if we still rely on the traditional advertisement, Web3 can provide the zero and first-party data access through the Web3 data layer. And if we are talking about the users' growth without the advertisement, there is a community users' growth method and driven by the Web3 gaming platforms. So I introduce these solutions. The first is about the zero and first-party extra data access through the Web3 data layer. Actually, we see that in the post-IDFA and the cookieless world, not all the gaming companies is highly influenced. For example, Tencent Games still remains strong in China, as they have its own ecosystem with its own gaming distribution channels, and also a large amount of user space contributing their first-party data to Tencent. But for most of the gaming companies, they don't have their own gaming distribution channels or their own database, so there is a necessary for them to find the alternative access to the user's first-party data to get the user's targeting precisely. And that is how the Web3 data layer can do, and what Carve is building right now, which is the Carve protocol. We can take Carve protocol as an example. And what the Web3 data layer can do is to encourage and motivate the users to verify and share their personal data to the protocol with the incentives given to the users. The incentives is the value share in the data exchange process. For example, if I am a SLG hardcore gamer and have played a lot of SLG game and spent a lot of money, and what I can do is to share my personal data to the protocol through the connection to different gaming platforms and maybe with my mobile devices. And after that, I will be tagged as a SLG hardcore gamer, like in the protocol, and also maybe a tag of the users with high ARPU. And when a data consumer, we say there is a new SLG game, want to acquire my data for the users targeting advertisement, or maybe for the users analysis to gather insights, and I can get a revenue share from this data exchange process. And so this becomes the motivations for the users to share, verify, and contribute their first and zero-party data to the protocols. Even without IDFA or without cookies that collect the user's data passively, they can be actively to share their data to the protocols. And also, all this process will be in a privacy-preserving manner through different data layer. For example, for the ID layer, we have the Carve ID, which is the unified ID NFT to put all the users' different cross-platform identities on chain. And also the storage layer, utilizing the greenfield, and also the computation layer, utilizing the TE clusters to protect the user's data's privacy. And so the benefit here for the gaming projects is quite obvious, right? Like for the data consumers, for the games that require the precise users targeting, like SLG game, the RPG game, they can finally get extra access to the user's first-party data to have the precise users targeting. And for the IAA game here, what they can do is to become a publisher for the Web3 data layer and to generate extra revenue based on the precise users' demographics. So this is the first solution brought by Web3 on solving the challenge in user acquisition. And another solution here, I think everyone is quite familiar with this solution, which is the community-driven users growth. And also, it can be empowered by the Web3 gaming platforms. That in the traditional Web2 way for the users growth, rely on the advertisement. It's like outreaching the users through advertising and maybe luckily can trigger the organic growth through the advertising, and then convert and retain the users with the gameplay and with the social connections to the users. And because of the user acquisition cost has rising, so many Web2 gaming companies have already tried like how to acquire the users without the advertisement. And one of the solutions here is the second rule here is to gather the seed users from the beginning at the early stage under development. And when the game is ready, try to make the seed users spread this game to a larger user space through, like we say, the referral events or through the content creations. But in this way, we didn't see a lot of the successful case here because in Web2 world, like the user's connection to the games is not strong enough. That there's no motivation for the users to do a lot of things for the game. The only connection to the game is like, this game is fun enough for me to play, or maybe I have a lot of friends playing the same game. The social or the gameplay, this is the only connection. But in Web3, what we can do is like to have a powerful weapon, which is the token, and also the token expectations, to have the users build the game together, which is to gather the seed users from beginning and let them help to spread the game to a larger user space. And also, in the later stage, what the Web3 games can do is to convert and retain the users with incentives. But the only problem for the Web3 games to do that is, compared to Web2 game distribution channels, there's no mature gaming distribution channels in Web3, for example, Google or Facebook. And also the users in Web3, they are like distributed separately in many games, in many platforms. It's very hard to find like one place that can aggregate a lot of users and provide a very clear users targeting demographics. So here comes the Web3 gaming platforms, including what we are doing right now upon the Carve protocol, which is called Carve Play. So through the gaming platforms, what we can do is to provide the games a very precise users demographics at the stage of collecting the seed users. And also on the user side, what we are providing is like recommendations and discovery to the users based on their personal preferences, which is to match the right users with the right games. And in the next stage, to spread the games to a larger population, what the Web3 gaming platform can do is to find a similar group of users to target. As right now, for Carve Play, we have already 2.2 million registered users, so it's easy to find a similar group for the games to targeting at. And in the next stage, for the conversion and for the retentions, there can be extra incentives provided by the gaming platforms to the users. So the best part is, for the users who play the game, they can not only earn the token or the token expectations from the games, but at the same time, they can earn the tokens from the gaming platforms. So we say maybe for a new game, which is not so famous and the users' expectation of the game is not clear enough, they can still be attracted to join this game based on the expectations of the token of the platforms and also the incentives of the platforms. So that is the empowerment that the Web3 gaming platform can bring to solve the challenge of the user acquisition. And as the time is quite limited, so this is everything I would like to share today. And of course, there are more solutions. And super happy to have the chance to explore with all you guys together. And thank you so much for listening. This is Leo from Carve.